Most people think they're stuck because they're not doing enough. They think the reason their life hasn't changed yet is because they haven't worked hard enough, focused long enough, or sacrificed enough. So they double down, they wake up earlier, they grind harder, they say yes more often, they stay busy, and somehow they end up in the exact same place. Not because they're weak, not because they're lazy, not because they're broken, but because effort by itself doesn't move you forward. It keeps you contained. The system doesn't block effort, it feeds on it. Effort is predictable, effort is measurable, effort is easy to exploit. That's why the most exhausted people are usually the furthest from freedom, and the people who escape almost always do less of what everyone else is doing. This video is about why. Let's start with something uncomfortable. Hard work is not rare, effort is not special. Trying harder is not impressive. Everyone is trying. The barista trying to make rent, the corporate worker grinding for a promotion, the creator uploading every day hoping for a breakthrough, the entrepreneur stuck at $3,000 a month just pushing a little harder. The system is full of people trying, and almost none of them escape. That should tell you something. Effort feels productive because it creates motion. Motion feels like progress, but motion without leverage is just friction. Think about a hamster wheel, high effort, constant movement, zero distance traveled. That's not an accident, that's design. And the modern system rewards participation, not outcomes. Show up on time, follow instructions, complete tasks, respond quickly, stay available, stay busy. You're trained to associate obedience with safety and effort with virtue. So when things don't work, you don't question the structure, you question yourself. I just need to be more disciplined. I just need to stay consistent longer. I just need to push through this phase. That mindset keeps you inside the loop, because the loop needs you to believe the problem is you. Here's the truth most people never hear. Effort is what the system asks for when it doesn't want to give you leverage. Leverage is dangerous. Leverage breaks predictability. Leverage creates asymmetry. Leverage allows one person to outperform 10,000. So the system gives you effort instead, because effort scales linearly. Leverage scales exponentially, and exponential outcomes are very hard to control. But think about how most jobs are structured. Your pay is tied to time. Your value is tied to presence. Your progress is tied to compliance. If you stop showing up, the system stops paying you. That's not a flaw, that's the feature. Effort keeps you dependent. Leverage makes you optional. This is why people who work the hardest often have the least control. They're always needed, always relied on, always indispensable. Which sounds good until you realize indispensability is just a nicer word for captivity. If you can't step away without everything breaking, you're not powerful. You're trapped. Now here's where it gets subtle. The system doesn't just rely on your effort. It encourages it, it praises it, it celebrates it, it wraps it in identity. You're a grinder. You're a hustler. You're a hard worker. Those labels feel empowering, but they quietly lock you into a role. A role where your worth comes from how much energy you burn instead of how much control you build. And this is why trying harder feels noble but produces diminishing returns. At first, effort works. You learn faster, you gain skills, you stabilize your situation, but eventually you hit a ceiling. Not because you're failing, but because effort alone has a maximum output. There are only so many hours, only so much energy, only so much attention. And once you hit that limit, trying harder just exhausts you faster. That's when people get confused. They're doing everything right. They're consistent, they're disciplined, they're committed. So why does it still feel stuck? Because consistency inside a flawed structure just locks the structure in place. You're perfecting the cage. Leverage is the only thing that changes the math. Leverage is when one action produces results without proportional effort. Ownership, automation, distribution, systems, audience, capital, code. These aren't motivational buzzwords, they're escape routes. And notice something important. The system doesn't teach these early, it teaches effort first, because effort is safe. Look at school, you're rewarded for compliance, for memorization, for showing your work, not for leverage, not for delegation, not for building systems. Creativity is controlled, independence is delayed, risk is punished. You learn how to try hard long before you learn how to think differently. That training doesn't disappear, it follows you into adulthood. So when someone tells you just work harder, what they're really saying is stay inside the model that benefits me. They might not mean it maliciously, but the effect is the same. Effort keeps the machine running, leverage threatens it. Here's a simple test. Ask yourself this: if I stop doing this tomorrow, does it keep working without me? If the answer is no, you're trading effort for survival. If the answer is yes, you're building leverage. Most people never ask this question because the system doesn't reward it. And this is also why burnout is so common now. Burnout isn't caused by effort, it's caused by effort without progress. Your body can handle work. What it can handle is working hard without seeing movement. That disconnect creates fatigue, resentment, and numbness, not laziness. And the reason people feel behind isn't because they started late. It's because they're running on a treadmill while others are building conveyor belts. Same energy, completely different outcomes. Now let's talk about why the system actively resists leverage. Leverage creates independence. Independence reduces dependency. Dependency is how systems maintain stability. Predictable workers, predictable consumers, predictable behavior. Leverage breaks patterns. That's why it's uncomfortable. That's why it feels risky. And that's why most people avoid it. Effort feels safe because it's familiar. Leverage feels dangerous because it's unfamiliar. So people default to what they know. They push harder instead of stepping back and redesigning the game. This is the moment most people miss. The turning point isn't when you work more, it's when you stop optimizing effort and start optimizing position. Position determines leverage. Where you stand in the system matters more than how hard you push against it. Let me say that again. Your position matters more than your effort. You can be the hardest worker in the wrong position and still lose. Or you can be average in the right position and win consistently. The system doesn't reward effort evenly, it rewards placement. This is why ownership changes everything. Ownership disconnects effort from income. It allows results to compound. It allows value to exist without constant input. That's not luck, that's structure. And the same applies to audience. If your work reaches one person at a time, your output is capped. If your work reaches thousands automatically, your leverage multiplies. Same effort, different architecture. Most people never escape because they never change architecture. They just upgrade tools inside the same cage. New job, new routine, new motivation, same dependency. And the system is fine with that because it looks like progress. Movement without escape. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The system doesn't stop you from winning. It just makes winning optional and comfort immediate. It gives you enough to survive, enough to distract, enough to stay busy, not enough to leave. And that's why trying harder never works long term, because effort is what keeps you paid just enough to not revolt and not free enough to exit. The people who escape don't do more. They do different. They build once and let systems repeat. They focus on leverage points instead of effort points. They accept short-term instability for long-term control. And that's the real trade-off. Effort buys comfort now. Leverage buys freedom later. Most people choose comfort because the system trains them to fear instability. If this is hitting, it's because you felt it. That quiet frustration, that sense of running but not arriving, that's not a motivation issue. That's a leverage issue. And the moment you see that, trying harder stops feeling heroic and starts feeling pointless. You don't need more effort. You need a different structure. This channel exists for one reason: to help you see the system clearly so you stop blaming yourself for problems that were designed into the game. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And once you can't unsee it, you stop wasting energy and start building leverage. If you want a clear framework for how leverage actually works, and how people quietly exit the effort trap, that's exactly what the Money Logic Playbook breaks down. No hype, no fantasy, just structure, incentives, and control. It's linked below. The system doesn't need to trap you, it just needs you trying harder. And the moment you stop doing that blindly is the moment everything changes.